Hello, hello. I know it's been a while. I've come to do a little bit of a work on our journals, the Nature's Remedy journals, and I'm going to make. I've already made one each for the journals. I'm now going to make a notebook to go inside. And again, Wendy has a fabulous tutorial on how she does hers. These are going to be very, very simple, and they are going to fold this way, so they're going to be backwards, because this section will be attached to the rings. So I'm just going to grab my ruler and I can tell you how big I've made mine. So this is about 25.5 centimetres or 10.25 inches wide by 22 centimetres or 9.75 inches high. And I have creased it at 14 centimetres, which is 5.5 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut my pages to size. Now, I was a bit of a muppet and actually folded some of these over, completely forgetting this is not an A5 notebook. This is going to be narrower than A5. So I've just popped in a few different pages. I'm not making these too thick because these journals are a little bit bulky already, and I don't really have, you know, you've seen I haven't made a ton of stuff to go in them. So I'm going to grab my pencil. These are for this particular journal. These bits are for this particular journal. So there's one for each notebook. A notebook for each journal even. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and work on two at once. So I'm going to put my pages in there and take my pencil, and I'm just going to put a pencil line. Okay, but I know I need to cut slightly inside that line. So just put a little one there. Okay, so I'm just going to slide this out of the way temporarily. I have a nice new cutting mat coming today. I love my Arteza one, but it's so big. It takes up so much of my desk. So I've ordered a new one, but an A3. Okay, now I'm going to use this ruler and I'm going to use my rotary cutter. So I'm going to take the pages out, line these up. I'm going to just stand up for this. So I'm going to lose a lot of those papers that I've folded, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. Now, make sure I get my metal edge. I'm going to use one of my lines on my cutting board, but one that's just inside my little mark to show how narrow I need these notebooks to be. There we go. So that's one done. Right, so I have both of my notebooks cut. I'm going to have lots of bits like that now because, like I said, I folded these pages. But these, I mean, that's perfect. I can use that for another tag or something similar. So it's just a very small little notebook, and it's going to go in here quite nicely. The pages are they're not too high, so they're perfect for this. Okay, just make sure I get it the right way up, and that one will go in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, or what I have done, is I have cut a piece the same height, and I've just folded it in half roughly. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going on the edge to just reinforce where I'm going to put my holes. So now, should I ink this? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I will. So I'm just going to ink this, and then there's a bit for this one too. So I've got one for each journal. I'm going to ink them and I'm going to glue them into place. Okay, so that's done. What I have done is I've made these books slightly larger, so they're going to hang slightly over the top and the bottom of my journal, but that's kind of what I wanted to do. The other notebook is the same width but a little bit wider, so I'll show you those at the end. I'm just going to quickly ink around these. So these are pretty much prepared. Now, what I've done is I've just cut a square or a rectangle of fabric out from the offcut, which I'm going to use as a background. And I have 2 of the tags from the kit. They are just on paper, they're not in anything else, but I have cut them out, inked them and sewn around them. And I'm going to layer up these 2 panels. Now, I think I'm going to use my corner puncher on these. Should I go the small or the large? Right, I've used the large corner puncher on here, so I'm going to use the same one again on these pieces. And obviously the type is going a different way, but that's okay. I'm quite happy with that. We're going to cover up quite a bit of this anyway. Okay, now I'm going to grab some cheesecloth and some labels. Now, I've just literally moved everything around. No, they're not in that tin anymore. I think they're in this one. Okay, so I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use red label on here. There's blue one there. I'm just literally picking a couple out. Now this particular one, rather than waste it, I'm going to cut it in half. And I'm going to put half on each one of these. Half down there and that half up there. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my little inking tool and ink these. Now, is that going to be big enough to cover? Yep. Right. Just going to cut off a piece. Oh, I just need to quickly ink this. I'm sorry about the banging. I think one of the houses at the end of the garden having some kind of construction done. They're having something built, I think. Not quite sure. But the noises, it kind of comes and goes. So, not sure what they haven't done. Right. Oh, I've already cut this. Put this one down there. That's quite big. That's easy. Okay. No, that's definitely the smaller piece. Put this down here. Right, so I don't try, and sometimes I do, it depends what I'm doing, but I like to try and glue just straight through the cheesecloth because it's easier than trying to put glue on cheesecloth. It's an absolute nightmare. But there's obviously so many holes in the cheesecloth, the glue does go right through, so that's fine. Just lining it up with the edge of my tag. excuse me, and I'll do the same with the other tag. Bring that down a bit actually. Oh, there we go. So that's those two. Just going to put the other two on exactly the same way. I'm going to cut my cheesecloth first and lay that down. It's always hard using cheesecloth when you've got sticky fingers. Okay. I haven't actually sewn the notebooks that I've made. I've only sewn the kind of embellishment on the cover. You can obviously sew it if you want to, if you're making these. I can't remember if Wendy sews hers, but Wendy's look amazing. I'm very lucky to have one of Wendy's journals. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly sew around the edges of these, and I'll be right back. So I've just sewn around, and I've got my tag from the kit. So I'm going to glue this into place, and then I just have one more thing to do to this before we go back to the notebooks. Okay. I do need to sew in the signature of the notebook. And again, I do have a 3-hole pamphlet stitch tutorial in my playlist for creating a journal from start to finish. I'll show you what I did differently on the other journals at the end. They're slightly different to these. Not too different, but a little bit different. I didn't want them to be identical, but I did want to use these gorgeous tags. Okay, so lastly, I have some muslin. Just gonna tear that a bit. Now, this is so easy to fray. It doesn't matter if I cut this with scissors and then fray it afterwards, but what I do want to do, can I fit 2 on there? Yes. Is I'm going to ink this because I have had to buy some new muslin and I haven't actually tea dyed any yet. So when you're only doing a small bit like this, inking is brilliant. Excuse me. I'm going to glue these 2 pieces down, and these are just another couple of labels. Got to have a lot of labels. I'm going to put that one there. Oh, Every time I think this is taking too long. I probably should have just done one on the video, but I intended on filming the other two, or one of the other two, and I just get so kind of carried away. I forget to film, so I had to film both of these. Otherwise I wouldn't have filmed these at all. So it's funny. It's very funny how my mind works. It's just, I get so sidetracked. And I'm hoping to do another video today. Very, very simple little project, which is really fun, and really cheap, and make really good, nice presents too. And that's something that really sidetracked me again. That and Andrea with her with her videos and making these numbers. Just still been embossing everything. It's so easy to get sidetracked. Now I'm going to just put that on top there, and the same with this one. I mean, I've done two of these. They've taken no time at all, really. And they are, I think they're really cute. I mean, they'd make a great tag on their own. And I will show you how far I've got so far with the journals shortly, because I have been working on them. Okay, so they are ready for our covers. And I'm going to put that one on there, I think. I'm not 100%, and that one on there. Or do they look better the other way? No, they're going that way round. Okay, so they'll be glued on here. So what I'm going to do before I come back is I'm going to put my holes in. I'm going to sew in my signature, and then I'll come back and we'll just glue this on the front. I've done exactly what I said I was going to do. I've just sewn in the signature, and like I said, I have a tutorial on a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and I've put in my eyelets in exactly the same way I did in the first video, I think. So these are almost ready. I have just grabbed 2 strips of fabric that I'm going to use down the spines of these. This one is a calico, and this one is from an old tablecloth that I got from the wonderful Sophia from China. So thank you for this, Sophia. It's just a perfect match for this. So what I'm going to do to glue this down is I'm going to open up my journal, or my notebook. It's not really a journal as such, and I'm going to put a small amount of glue down the spine. Down the centre there. Okay, now what I do, which is probably not great for health and safety, is just rub that with my finger and then roughly line this up with the crease. Push that down. This is why I always have glue over the back of my hand, and I'm going to now backfill some of this. That's not glued down. I'm not worried about the whole thing being perfectly glued, but just a little bit more than there is already. Had an email, good news, my local fabric store is reopening. Lots and lots of rules to keep everybody safe, but it's so nice because I had to buy some canvas from Amazon and some muslin and some cheesecloth, and you're never quite sure what you're going to get when it arrives. And the canvas is great for the money. It's not bad at all, but it is a lot thinner than, it's more of a calico really, than the canvas that I get from my fabric supply store locally. So it's so difficult when you're buying online, isn't it? You just don't know. And thank you to everybody for the advice about the punches. I'm going to leave that flat. I did actually contact them. We are memory keepers via their Facebook page, and nothing. They still haven't replied. And I know places are finding it a little bit difficult to keep up with. But, you know, things like this, emails and deliveries and Amazon are all getting a bit back up to speed. I think things are improving postal-wise for sure. I'm going to be starting to post stuff out again this week. But, yeah, I have heard nothing from them. So I left a review on Amazon, and I don't think... there was no way of contacting the seller. I've never known that before, but I couldn't find anywhere to contact the seller. And I just got a bit frustrated and left feedback. Not the best feedback. Actually, I think it's the worst feedback I've ever left. I wasn't rude, but I just said it was an appalling product and did not recommend it to anybody. Oh, no. Oh, never mind. I just trimmed the edge of my... Now, I'm going to make these a little bit tatty when the ink has dried. Glue, even. I need to fill my bottle up. Get a bit of a top up. Okay, I'm going to leave these flat for a while. So I'm just going to double check. That's the back. So they'll open that way. Just make sure. Yep. So... I'm going to pop this on the front of this one. Okay, make sure I've got this the right way up, and I'll glue this on the other one. Now I do leave them a few minutes just for this to dry. If I was sewing down the spine, I wouldn't be quite so worried, but because I'm not, what happens is when you close the book, you end up with your little crease in your fabric. I mean, it's never going to be perfect because when you open and close it, it's gonna wrinkle, but I'll just leave it for a minute or two. Okay, so that's the two covers. I will be back shortly. These are now done. I think they look really quite cute considering there's no sewing on the actual notebook itself. So there's a few pages in here, nothing too major. I might hang something on the threads. I might just tie them in a bow. I'm not quite sure. And what I've done is I've used a binder clip just to hold these closed. Now, like I said, these notebooks are already going to stick out top and bottom. So this is possibly going to be too big. I'm not quite sure yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab... I'm going to grab this one. Okay, this is the one we've been making the most on film. Now, I'll show you what I've done. I've just popped a little pocket on this front cover here. I've used some, I always pronounce this cardie paper, but I've heard other people call it caddy paper, so it's like a rag paper. It's just a piece from a herb notebook and some muslin. That's our little pocket. Now I have popped in one of the little postcards in there and one of my little Wendy slides in there as well. So you can see some of that from the... Let me pop it in this way. Oh no, this is not the one you can see some of the back. I've just popped in here. There's a tag and another tag and a little vintage clothing tag. A little tag I've made there, and in here there is a library card and one of the other tags I've made with some herbal page on there. another little notebook, and there's one of the little envelopes I've clipped in there with, thanks to Andrea, sent me some of these teeny tiny Tim Holtz paper clips. One of my little tags on here, and there's nothing in that envelope yet. This is the notebook that I have made previously. Now what I've done on this one is slightly different. I've used Tim Holtz cardstock at the back, made my label, and I've also added one of the Tim Holtz things on there, and I did actually sew this one slightly differently. Now in here I've just done a little bit of decorating on that page, and I've tucked an envelope over here which is a vintage envelope. In here I've put the little trifold I made at the beginning. There's a little tag here with a pocket and another tag in there. Little tag, the guest check there for writing on, because what I did say, this is the little envelope with the little tea cards from the kit in. What I did say was I wanted to put lots of places that you could write in this journal, because there's not as much, there's not as many pages in here, so I've added lots of things. I will do a proper flip through. This is just, I'll just really quickly show you a few bits I've done on this one. Now there's a notebook here, and it's in front of one of the bags, so I want this one to go. I'm going to put this one here, so this notebook is going to go in here. Now this is where we're going to see how much bigger than the journal itself this notebook is. But I did say I wanted things to hang kind of over the top and the bottom and hang out the sides. I think that's fine. That's not too big at all. I'm not going to get much more in this. This is another tag I've made which will go into that journal. And then this one, very, very similar. I've just made a little pocket in that one. This one has got a little card attached here. I think I'm going to put the first, let me see where, I think I'm going to put this notebook in here, right at the front. It's just decorating really, just a few little finishing touches, some dangles and maybe a tassel and things in here. So that's that one, and the notebook that I'd already made is here. And again, I've got the envelope is in a different place, same thing, tea cards in this one. That's the front of that notebook. I haven't got a binder clip on this one, because it's at the back. I'm kind of hoping it's going to help hold itself shut. And here is a tag that I've made for this one as well, and again this is from one of the long tags with from the kit. So this one is also pretty chunky. They are almost finished, almost. I'm a little bit behind Andrea because I think hers are done. I hope that made some sense, and I hope you got a little bit of something out of this. I'll do a flip through, or a rather quick flip through once I put the dangles and things on. But you know, these for all intents and purposes are now finished. I will see you hopefully again later today with something fun. So please do join me, and thank you to everybody who's been subscribing and leaving comments. So I will see you soon. Thank you for watching.